It's given me my life back. It's been a great opportunity, and it's helped me battle through drug addiction.
And were you close to death at any point in your addiction story? Or?
I'd say there was a couple times where, I was overdosing, and, I think in that moment really is where I kind of had come to Jesus, and I decided that I didn't want to die, and I feared that what was going to happen next if I did die. So that was really the main reason why I came to community, because I was very afraid of death and what would happen next to me. So,
and we know by faith, Kara, that you played a role in this too, in his recovery. And tell us about that.
Well, I had actually entered the community. I was living in the community when Christian was struggling and thinking about entering.
So we should say there's a women's community.
Yes. Yes, there's two separate houses. And like Christian said, there was a lot of tragedy in our family. There was really a call, I think, that God had for our whole family toward healing. Someone told me a long time ago, actually, when I was in the community, she said that if you're in the community, it's a calling, and it's not just a calling for an addict, it's a calling for a family. And that really struck my heart, because I really felt that to be true at the time I was in the community, and Christian was in the community with me, and I really felt like our whole family was called to this journey of deeper healing and deeper conversion. And
I think your story is interesting because you didn't hit a rock bottom from drugs or alcohol.
No, I had never smoked a cigarette in my life. No, I didn't. I never tried drugs, but I definitely was a broken person. I definitely had my struggles.
Did you drink soda pop?
Soda? No, I didn't really. No, yes, coffee for sure. But of course I entered, I think, for sure, like very broken and wounded, and with my poverties and in need of a lot of healing. And our whole family was wounded, and our whole family was in need of healing, and it's been a journey for our whole family, really. And I think that that is really, really key. And yes, so to answer your question, I had been living at the community at the time that Christian was thinking about entering, and just praying for him, praying, offering everything, getting up. At the time, everyone gets up at 6 o'clock.
But you made it clear last time in the show that you didn't enter community for that reason, but it kind of became...
No, it did. It was that's correct. I didn't enter necessarily for my brother, but when I entered, by the time I was there, I just had, within the deepest part of my heart, I knew that I just had such a conviction that if I stayed and that if I prayed for him, he would follow me. And I just didn't have a shadow of a doubt about it. I didn't, and all the girls, in fact, it kind of became a joke in the house, because every single rosary I offered for him, every adoration, every mass, to the point that it was almost humorous. They're like, oh yeah, for Christian. They had never met Christian before. But then it was such a beautiful reality when the whole house watched him enter, and they saw this we had this very concrete experience of praying for something and seeing this miracle happen and seeing God answer this prayer. And that was a very, very beautiful experience for all of us, not just for me, but for all the girls in the house, because by this point, all the girls had been affected, and they were all praying for him too.
And it kind of culminated, right, in a big novena?
Yes, it did. Christian was he had decided to do his working days, and I didn't know it, because living in the community, I didn't have any contact with him. And I had decided to do a novena to St. Rita of Cascia for him, and so I was getting up at 2 a.m. every morning and going to the chapel and praying for him.
And why Rita, St. Rita?
I just really, because I guess behind every, good man, there's a good woman, and I felt like I just saw that in her story. She was praying for her husband, and she prayed for this man that she loved and cared about. And it just really touched me. I heard that she was super powerful. So, and that she was the patron saint of impossible cases. So she was like the right woman for me to pray to. And so I started praying to her, and during that time, unbeknownst to me, Christian had called Albino, and during the novena, he went to do his working days. And on the 9th day of the novena, he ended up entering the community.
But that's not all, right? During the novena, you got sick.
Yeah, I got very sick too. That's true. I got very sick, and and that, I think, goes to show you that the Lord, He often calls us to intercede for others that we love, you know, when we don't realize it. Yeah, I had gotten this terrible infection, and it moved like from my, I mean, I had from my ears to my nose. I was in bed for 10 days. I had fever for 10 days straight. I had never been sick like that in my life. And I remember it again became kind of a joke in the house. So I was like, I'm offering all of this for my brother. My brother better enter, you know, by the end of this. But he did. You know, and there's that warfare that goes on when God is working powerfully in our lives, and when God is working in our families, and He's restoring, and He's working a miracle. You know, there's the enemy strikes too sometimes, and we have to just fight and push through.
That's a beautiful testimony to spiritual motherhood. I mean, that's it. I mean, you pray, suffer, offer that up, and life is engendered in souls. And I would think the bond between the two of you, Christian, must be tremendous. I mean, can you talk about? I mean, what's that like to have a sister willing to walk through fire for you?
I feel like, you know, other than the fact that she's my sister, she's also like my second mom, you know, because when I was in the midst of my addiction, in the midst of just, you know, living in hell, she was always one of the only people who remained there for me. Was always there to, you know, help me. Was always a friend to talk to. Was always someone that would offer just a hand in anything. And you know, I owe her a lot of thanks, and you know, I love her tremendously for her prayers and just for all the good that she's done in my life for me. And she's the reason I'm in community.
Right.
Without her prayers, I don't think I would have made it here. And her prayers have also kept me in here. So.
And you've been part of the community for 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Yeah.
What are your plans now?
I don't have any plans as of now. I'm kind of, you know, I'm praying, and I'm just, you know, trusting in God. And also, you know, when we make plans, we also, you know, talk to Albino and, you know, sit down together and make a decision on what's next. Right now, I'm kind of just trusting in God and, you know, hoping that everything's going to work out, and it will. So.
I think that's one of the beautiful witnesses of community. I mean, about Chinako is giving, right? It's to get rid of selfishness and self-centeredness and just rip that up and and follow the Lord, isn't it?
Yeah, so, definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in community, what that's been like?
Well, definitely, I think the hardest part of my experience was just entering. Entering the community is never an easy adjustment, you know, because like she said, we wake up at 6. First thing that we do is we go to the chapel and we pray, and then eat breakfast, and we're off to work. And so, you know, it was a big adjustment for me because I was 19 years old. I was coming out of college, and, you know, I had never really discovered, you know, work. I'd never really had a good work ethic, and, you know, so, and what we do is mainly manual labor all day. So, you know, it was a big adjustment going from the college atmosphere, the classroom atmosphere, to, you know, being outside.